Hello everyone, and welcome to video number 39 in the Weather Unlocked video series on derechos. In this video, we'll go over how a derecho is defined, some of their important meteorological components, and then conclude with a brief overview of a destructive derecho that occurred in 2020. Let's get started. Okay, so what exactly is a derecho? A derecho is a widespread and long-lived line or cluster of thunderstorms that produce strong, straight-line winds. While they can also produce tornadoes, they are more often than not on the weaker side, and the straight-line winds can be just as strong, if not stronger, than the tornadic winds. Admittedly, there can be some subjectivity when it comes to the exact criteria of a derecho, but the Storm Prediction Center defines one as having a wind damage path extending at least 400 miles long, 60 miles wide, and includes several well-separated 75 mile per hour or greater gusts. Regardless, they must be widespread and long-lived wind events. Alright, so why the name derecho? The word was actually first coined as a weather term all the way back in the year 1888, as derecho is a Spanish word meaning direct or straight ahead, just like the winds these storm systems produce. Now let's go over a few key meteorological components of a derecho. We have bow echoes, rear inflow jets, and cold pools. A bow echo is simply a bow-shaped line of storms, often associated with swaths of damaging straight-line winds. They can be fairly easy to spot on radar imagery. A rear inflow jet is a stream of air that enters and flows through the stratiform precipitation region of a storm system and aids in storm intensity. Finally, a cold pool is an area of rain-cooled air formed by a thunderstorm downdraft. A cold pool helps initiate new storms along the leading edge of the line. Here's a schematic to help visualize these elements. The orange arrow here represents the rear inflow jet, where wind is streaming to the backside of the storm. The blue outline underneath the storm represents the cold pool, where evaporatively cooled air will spread out in all directions. Then, the radar reflectivity image at the surface depicts the bow echo. This is typically where the strongest winds occur. While these are features common to all derechos, there are a few different types of derechos with unique characteristics. Progressive derechos are associated with an expansive region of very moist and unstable air. They primarily occur in the late spring and summer. Serial derechos most often form in the cool season, namely in the fall, winter, and early spring, and are associated with strong, fast-moving upper-level troughs and surface lows. Hybrid derechos, consequently, share characteristics of both progressive and serial derechos, and primarily occur in the late spring and early summer. We won't go into all of their details in this video, but you can find more information at noaa.gov/jetstream. We'll close with a brief overview of the August 10th, 2020 derecho that brought destructive winds through the northern plains and upper Midwest. Specifically, this large system tracked through South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. A couple of quick facts. Peak winds were estimated near 140 miles an hour around Cedar Rapids, Iowa. 26 spin-up tornadoes also occurred, all of which were EF0 and EF1. And there were unfortunately 4 fatalities along with dozens of injuries. In total, this derecho caused over $11 billion in damage, making it the single costliest thunderstorm event in U.S. history. Additionally, it's estimated that 45% of Iowa's crops were affected by these destructive winds, negatively impacting the farmer's harvest and the local economy. Here's an animation of the radar imagery for this event. You can see that initially, a relatively small squall line begins pushing east-southeast through North Dakota. Then, as it gets into Iowa, you'll notice it starts to strengthen, and the bow echo becomes more apparent. This is where the strongest winds occurred. As it crosses the border into Illinois, you'll notice it becomes increasingly widespread and develops farther to the south. By 7 p.m., you can see the storm system stretches all the way from central Michigan down to southern Indiana. What this highlights is the wide spatial extent and long duration of damaging winds associated with derechos. Here are a few photos of the aftermath. So, while tornadoes may get the headlines, straight line winds can be just as dangerous and are certainly more widespread. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for our next video in the Weather Unlocked series.